Arsenal 2, Manchester United 1, but United won on penalties. I'm joined by Stephen Howson. Firstly,
get the aggregate win for now. How's that work?
I think technically United won the game because the last thing was penalties and we won that. So we were losing after 90 minutes, which isn't good, but we won on penalties, which is good. Format aside, let's get into some of the details. We'll start with the injuries because I think that's the most impactful thing here.
Can I just say, right? Go on. I love analysing football and I hate analysing pre-season. I actually have a headache watching our pre-season games because I'm trying to, like, it's not just 10 players, outfield players that you're trying to think about. It gives us 20 players to think about, and like, it ain't enough time. You want to see mistakes. You want to see more on the ball reps. Do you know what I mean? There's just not enough to go away. I can't tell you with any level of like bass in my voice. He needs to start for us after what I've seen on pre-season because I'm not seeing the reps.
Is that always the case though? Because I feel like maybe with Mainu, for instance, last season, and maybe he's just a special once-in-a-generation version, but there was a little bit of that, of like, actually, this kid might be that. Do you think maybe this squad is lacking someone like that? Or do you just think Mainu was so good that he just stood out anyway?
Well, it was the same thing, wasn't it? He was doing 45s and then swapping 10. Maybe it was a little bit of how much he stood out. And I don't think anyone has stood out. It's one game, obviously, so far for us. I mean, realistically, it's one game. I know it's third, but it's one game. So no one has hit the Mainu heights. And I'm not expecting anyone to hit those heights. I think that was like quite a unique kind of moment. But yeah, so it's hard to sort of analyse that. I think they were bright performances. And I know we said we're starting injuries, but we're flipping the script. And I think Harry Amas, I thought he was quite bright. I think Collyer might be this season good enough to be a squad player for United, which I think is actually, that's massive. Like, that could save us 30 or 40 million pounds. Like, we might not need to go to the market and bring in that guy or that guy or that guy and just give him minutes. I think that's a real positive thing. As long as you get your starters in, we keep this kid here and we give him minutes. Outside of that, I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head who else mega impressed. Holiday, again, showing real nice touches, but I think Collier's stretched. Yeah. And like Holiday, I've got more questions than answers with each game. Like, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I need to see so much more of this. Whereas Collyer, I think he's really showing me something, I think.
Yeah, I think that there are a couple of people standing out. I know we've flipped it, like I said, but let's talk about the injuries. Because in terms of, you can't say after one game or 3 games, this guy's got to start. What we can say is Højlund and Yoro probably won't be starting the season now, maybe even. Like, that is an impact from this game, isn't it?
That's terrifying, mate, because like the lack of the striker, I know we've got Xerxes sitting at home on ice, but when Højlund goes off and you throw in Hannibal in there, you know, and I don't think Wheatley's quite first team level for Manchester United, certainly in the Premier League. The lack of a striker is absolutely terrifying, and the lack of depth in that area and options in that area is absolutely terrifying. Mason Mount was good as well. I think that's worth mentioning. So, yeah, Højlund, hamstring injury, always a risk when you've got a player that's got the level of pace that he's got and opens his legs the way he does. A great goal, but a real goal that I liked.
There was a hint of Gareth Bale in that goal, I thought.
Oh, that's a hell of a shot. I've not thought about that. Yeah, I like that. That's a good point, well made. Yeah, really like that goal. I feel like he was primed to just hit the ground running after how last season started, and now he's going to hit the treatment table. So that's really disappointing. And obviously, Lenny Yoro, we didn't watch the match together, obviously. So, Lenny Yoro, did you watch him as he left the pitch?
I've seen it on the footage of him leaving since. Have you seen it?
No, I watched it. Like, I
couldn't really see from where we
saw him and couldn't not look at him. He looked like I looked around our house yesterday. Like, oh, this ain't good. This is bad. This, like, oh, he's in all sorts of world of clip here. So I was like, shit. Obviously, we've got injury-prone centre-halves. He's shown some flashes in today's game already before he had to go off, and you're like, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm liking all of this that he's doing. Yeah, I want to see him kick on, and I don't think the talking sprained ankle, awkward joint to have to fix, kin nightmare. So
sprained, I know all injuries, but sprained ankle can be anything from 4 days out to 6 weeks out, can't it? It's a massive variance there.
The way he was walking, it's not a week. Like, his tour's over for starters, and I have no idea when you'll see him start. I think it's bad.
It's terrible, that. And like I was just saying before, I think those two, your number 9 and your new signing, are probably the worst two people to get injured, other than maybe like Mason Mount on a sort of feeling bad for him after last season level. Those two are literally the last two players you would pick to get injured, aren't they? Like, it's terrible.
Probably Mainu in the mix as well, but you're right. And when you look at where we are from last season to this season, you're like, right, we've had a couple of new signings. Well, Euro's not better than Varane. He's got a better ceiling, but right now, today, this moment, he's not better than Varane. So we bought him for the future returns and obviously the long-term returns that you're going to get from him. So when you look at like the big picture of like, right, is 21 coming? Well, let's be real about it. What have we got in goal? Right, Onana, moments a bit shaky, but relatively solid across the course of the season. We think he can kick on. Great. Defence. Right back, question marks. The new right side centre half, probable an immediate downgrade with probably a bit of a bounce, and then it might improve. Left side centre half, you would hope it's an improvement with Martinez actually being fit, but toss a coin for how guaranteed that is. Left back, is Harry Amas going to start the season at left back? That's not as good as Luke Shaw, right? Let's be real. He's got. I think there's probably a Premier League player in Harry Amas. I don't think there's a Manchester United player starter in Harry Amas from what I've seen. Right? I hope he watches it and he goes, fuck you, watch this. But at the moment, I can only go off what we've seen. I don't think we've seen that. I think there's a player that's shown that he could come in and do a job for United, which is still something that needs doing. And he probably is going to play in the Premier League for us this season on the back of that. Midfield, Kobe Mainu, right, yeah. I think he'll have, with what he's had in the summer, that's happy days. But we haven't got the guy who's going to play next to him yet. It isn't Collyer, right? I think he looks good, but he's putting himself in the position to come on for 20 minutes, not start. Okay, Mount, having him is a great option for us, and it might mean we can rest Bruno.
I'll agree.
Rashford and Ahmad has probably taken us forward with being an option on the right-hand side. But here's the bottom line, Joe. We've not improved our starting 11.
There's the top.
We haven't. So, like, when you're talking about, well, where can this United team do? You might improve on individual results head-to-head, but this starting 11 is not any better than the starting 11 that we had last season that came 8th. So I think there's a hell of a lot of work to do in this window for that to change and for us to be able to kick on and do something that way.
Just to sort of flip that back on you a little bit, how much worse was last season's squad than the one the year before that finished third? Do you think it's all to do with personnel, or do you think clearing out some players and refreshing the squad and lifting the floor a little bit could, maybe boost the confidence, morale, and we get, something that way? Or are you just looking at it going, it's the personnel that's going to win and lose these games and that's kind of it?
No, I think the system's important. I think the shape is important. I think those things are important. But when you're just looking at the raw personnel, we haven't actually improved where we're at with it. And I think that is the biggest factor. I think that the shape, the tactics, the substitution in individual games, the look, the run, the momentum, all of those things play into account. Scott McTominay's not going to be Zidane. As no matter how much you rub his gooch. So, one of them in it.
Hopefully that isn't the way they do it, but if it is, you'll find out here first.
You tried it?
Well,
With him? Or just generally?
let's make it more general.
No, I haven't actually.
So,
No.
so what we're saying is it's scientifically possible that if you rub his gooch, he could turn into Zidane.
I guess we can't rule that out, as weird as that is.
Subscribe for more insight like that. Bye.
That's